Garcia does quite well. And Jordan Lampard certainly didn't in that instance, skying the ball, but fortunately for his side, they did win a free kick.
Jordan Lampard, according to the Sports TG, hasn't received a yellow card all season, which I find hard to believe for a defender to not have received a yellow.
Well, that is why Jake Marshall won the gold medal last year. And he actually hasn't had a yellow this season either.
That's insane.
Incredible.
Yankovic on 4 yellow cards, as well as Bernarda. And then you look at Harrison Sawyer's had 8 for a striker. Garcia also on 8 too. Nikolai, look at him go down the left-hand side here. He's drawn Milovanovic out wide, but the cross is not going to harm any of these defenders. Ball being called into action. Looks like there's been a goal. No, it's half-time at Dandenong City. Dandenong City 1, Manningham United 2. Manningham fighting for their lives, particularly if there is 2 teams that go down. Whoa, Shalamanov Trenkov. Oh!
Goodness gracious, what have I just witnessed?
This is like calling the WWE there. Oh, wow.
I'm having fun. This is great.
That was huge.
Max Mikula, wow.
Well, Shalamanov Trenkov, he slipped, but it looked okay on the surface because, no pun intended again, because it was it who was the defender recovering?
Milovanovic.
And then he
slipped, and then Shalamanov Trenkov, no. Shalamanov Trenkov slipped, then it was Milovanovic, and then, I don't know. This is why I wish this game was streamed.
Well, it was a good recovery by Shalamanov Trenkov to tip it over a corner.
Absolutely.
Considering the man of all 6'5" was on the turf and got himself back up again. Let's see what Andy Brennan can do from the corner. South looking to press home the advantage here and grab a second. And Marshall is there. It's gone all the way in. And did anyone touch that? Or is that a goal for the corner taker? Is that an Olympico? Did that bounce in? Who knows? Let's see what the ground announcer goes with.
Well, Marissa Lodanic will be very happy with that goal. Olympico, but
no doubt about it.
Yeah, South Melbourne with a very commanding 2-0 lead over the Port Melbourne Sharks, and they've all just about secured their premiership, pending other results, of course, so they don't drop points to Avondale and St Albans in the next few weeks. But there was, of course, the corner that did arrive, and well, that is one of the most outrageous goals you'll see this season.
Ground announcer's not going to stick his neck out here.
Goal for South Melbourne. The score is South Melbourne 2.
Rather be safe than sorry. I actually had a very... I've seen similar situations, and Dali Milovanovic is going to make his way off the park as well. Last week, Werribee City played against Northcote, and I think it was a free kick from Tommy Semi that made its way all the way in, but it was given to Michael Eager, which was very intriguing, and you do see the introduction of Abraham Method, literally walked through the pitch.
Through the centre circle while the kickoff was happening. Well, Jonas Issis was having a chat with Andy Brennan. I presume they were chatting about who the goal was going to be credited to. And he's back to the substitution happening, I think, too. Hilarious stuff. Another slip. There's getting dewy out there. This is like that match at the home of the Matildas that we saw, Neil, where we got to a certain time of night and no one could keep their feet. It's been some... There's been some drier weather at times this week. The pitch is probably a bit hard underfoot and slippery on top.
Well, they've given the goal to Marko Jankovic, and if I'm not mistaken, we do have a live stream. Welcome to the NPL Victoria, round number 24 between the Port Melbourne Sharks and South Melbourne. We have a stream after 50 minutes of play. We severely apologise for the technical difficulties, and I believe you would have seen that Olympico goal that did arrive, of course, which is fantastic to see, and we do welcome you this evening.
Thanks for your company. It's good to be with you, Neil, and with all the viewers tuning in at home. I missed one goal then. Harrison Sawyer scoring in the opening minutes. Here's Mikola looking to make it 3, going the long way around. Was floated in. Sawyer was the target. It's going to be out of play for another corner kick for South. Dangerous phase of play here for the Sharks. Brennan over to take. Excellent delivery on that previous corner. They all waiting around the near post area, trying to obstruct the path to the ball for Shalamanov-Trinkov. It comes in. Shalamanov-Trinkov got those long arms and punched it away. It's repelled by that Port Melbourne defence. Lampard gets a touch and Brennan can't keep it in, and he's gone down. Is he hurt here, Andy Brennan? He's going to bounce back up to his feet. That's good to see. As we say, getting a couple of successive starts in the starting 11 for South Melbourne. South Melbourne lining up tonight. Lopez back in goal. Painter Andrews at right back. Marshall and Yankovic are central defenders. Lampard at left back. In midfield, Barcia and Inglese. And in the front four, we've got Mikler and Brennan in the wide areas, and Bernarda and Sawyer up top. Switch of play. Bernarda getting back, and it is turning into an ice skating rink out there. Andrews kept his feet well. Finds Bernarda. He's into trouble in the shape of Owen Stokes. We're going to get going here through Hornsby. The new signing, Stokes again. Charlie Leach was substituted midway through the first half, so the goal scorer of last week is no longer out there. He's Barfrosh. He's going to try his luck from distance. Couldn't keep the shot down. He's always rising, but he looks confident tonight, does young Luke Barfarosh.
Yeah, Luke Barfarosh, of course, arriving across mid-season from the US. Did have a stint at North Florida over there, and of course has previously played for the Port Melbourne Sharks. Was in that 2021 side and hasn't featured in the NPL Victoria since. Did actually have a stint at Brunswick Juventus in the NPL2 last season, and the US college off-season, which is something that we do see often from NCAA players who do make the trip across back to Melbourne. So do see now Hornsby in possession. Of course, the mid-season arrival, as you mentioned, Steve, arriving from Christchurch United, has featured in the US for a number of sides, including the likes of the Richmond Kickers.
Good team name, that.
Yes,
yeah.
in the USL League One, and actually played 30 minutes in a US Open Cup match against DC United in the, who of course do play in the MLS. So it certainly has a high-level experience as Mathod is back to goal, to be wrestled down by Painter Andrews.
I went to the US Open once, but that was the one at Flushing Meadows. That's a whole other story. All over the far side. It's repelled by Inglese. Further forward by Brennan, but he's just kicked it all the way up to Nick Marinos, who shows a good first touch coming out of the technical area in the long jacket that's it's mid-shin length. It's even longer than his knees. Certainly need that extra layer of warmth when you're here at Lakeside on a breezy night, the cold wind coming off the lake.
And for those who haven't been attuned to what's happened in the first half, South Melbourne did have the majority of the opportunities, but Port Melbourne very diminutive in possession. We do see now, this time through Andrew Mezzaruni. Hasn't got plenty of options to work with, but on the perimeter of the 18-yard area, wonderful ball towards Hornsby, and it's a good save by Javi Lopez. But of course, that first goal did arrive 5 minutes in from a Max Bickle throw-in, which found the head of Harrison Sawyer. Fairly routine first 56 minutes of action thus far, Steve, and this really does set the precedent for South Melbourne in the coming weeks. They do have, as things currently stand, 3 matches in 8 days. In fact, I think it's actually not quite that. I think it's actually, I think I might have got my maths all wrong.
Well, they'll be in action next Saturday, the Doherty Cup final, so they'll get an 8-day break before then, and then they'll be lining up again the following Tuesday night. So that's a tight turnaround for those 2 cup games. The cup final against the Oakley Cannons, that's coming up at the home of the Matildas, 3 p.m. on Saturday the 3rd of August. Get your tickets for that one and get out there. And if you're going by car, arrive early, because that parking situation out there is, well, that's dynamite. You could probably get there early and claim a spot and then sell it to the highest bidder if you wanted to leave at around 2:30 before the game. You can always get the 86 tram out there too, which I'd consider as an option as well. Going to have a change on the far side here for South Melbourne, taking place, their first of the match.
Yeah, it looks to be a double change for South Melbourne. It looks like, I think it's Max Mikola and Andy Brennan going to go to depart.
Substitution for South Melbourne coming off number 7, Andy Brennan, number 22, Max Mikola, being replaced by number 10, Jack Pope.
So Jack Pope and Emil Pios are going to make their way, respective ways, onto the park. Of course, Jack Pope, the mid-season arrival from the Eastern Lions, also previously played academy football at the Melbourne Victory. And Emil Pios, also technically a former Victory Academy player.
Yeah, more recently at Melbourne City. Scored a nice goal at Green Gully a couple of weeks ago too.
Yes.
You don't mind as well, coming on off the bench and really having an impact on the game. So, and you look at Jack Pope as well. Since he's come in, he's mainly been in the starting 11. This is a rare introduction to him into the match off the bench for Pope.
Yeah.
Comes into the box. It's repelled well by the new signing in Michael Hornsby. He's been good as well, Michael Hornsby. We'll go back to that chat, though, Neil, about the upcoming game. So Saturday the 3rd, and then the following match, Wellington Phoenix back here at Lakeside in the Australia Cup round of 32, Tuesday the 6th, and then they play Avondale the following Saturday. So that's a big week.
Yeah, it's a huge week, and of course the next two matches will be in different competitions as well. So very, very exciting times for all South Melbourne fans, and I'm sure for the players they'll be relishing that opportunity to play against the Wellington Phoenix. And honestly, you'd say that they would be pretty good odds considering the departures that the Phoenix have had in recent weeks. So you see the ball sent into the mixture. It's Harrison Sawyer looking for the diving header. Method gets it clear. Now arrive on the head of Mario Barcia. Pios slipping it through towards Bernarda. Nearly earns his side of corner, but
he's taken out the advertising hoardings
has
there.
Found his way into the Veal Accounting Group advertising hoarding on that far side. So hopefully he's all okay.
Well, he's made of tough stuff, the Argentine. I reckon he's put a crack in that advertising hoarding there.
A bit of repairs to do for those at Lakeside Stadium. We do see Jack Painter-Andrews with the long throw. Of course, Max Mikola off the park. He is the primary throw-in taker.
Not a bad deputy, though, in Jack Painter-Andrews, who can certainly launch this one into the corner of the front corner of the 6-yard box. It's flicked on by Marshall, and it's back across the goal, giving chase. That was Marshall, in fact, giving chase for the ball after the flick on was from Yankovic, but the flag was up from the assistant referee just on the near side here, Danielle Anderson, for a goal kick, and taken quickly by the Sharks. They get the ball rolling again. Atticus Gonzalez, the first half substitute. He was down with an injury within seconds of coming on. It's good to see he's been able to shrug that off, the 19-year-old, as he plays a good pass to pick out Owen Stokes, the captain, and Port Melbourne can try and come forward. He's looking for Messaruni. The pass has got too much on it, and it runs through to Harvey Lopez.
Yeah, speaking of Andrew Messaruni, of course, his father was the former technical director of the football club. Did actually resign from his role earlier this season. A fantastic legacy at this football club, and Enrico, as they call him, did have a youth stint at the club as well, in and around the senior setup, since had some time overseas with Lamia in the Greek second division, where he made one singular appearance. But has looked really good in Port Melbourne colours, and last week did get a goal. Has had 4 goals for the season and has been deployed out wide and also up top. So I'd say Nick Marino should be pretty happy with his output this season, especially with the departure of Emmanuel Peters.
Absolutely. Good bit of skill there from Luke Barfarosh, the youngster, but running out of room, and possession has returned to South Melbourne, and here's the metronome in Barcia. Andrews looking to play the ball up the line. Here's Pios, who's playing in that wide right position since coming on. And Leslie almost control of that one, but Pope's in possession now. Barcia over the top for Glaze. It's well cleared away. Gets him. Going for South. Press home the advantage. Comfortable 2-goal cushion that they have here. Sawyer with a decent first touch. And Melbourne going to come away with the ball through Stokes. Switching the play out wide. Looking for Fraser Dunlop, man who's always full of running. His touch lets him down. The breezy conditions out there. It's pretty calm. We're out of the breeze in the grandstand here, Neil, fortunately, but it's it feels like you're on the tarmac out at Tullamarine Airport. It's very open and exposed out there in the middle of the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think South Melbourne will really benefit from having a fairly large home stretch to finish out their campaign. I guess if you incorporate League and Cup. I mean, the game away to Avondale is a very difficult one, but of course to secure the title at home against St Albans would be an enormous opportunity for them to take if they're able to do so, of course. Nothing certain in the NPL Victoria as South do win yet another corner.
Andrew Messaruni down on the halfway line, so we might have the trainer called out here. Yeah, the onus has allowed some treatment to be called onto the field, although Messaruni is back up on his feet.
Tough soldier is Andrew Messaruni.
He's going to be coming off.
But he looks like he will make his way off the park, and this is going to be Port Melbourne's last change. Of course, Leach did come off in the first half. They just made another change following the second goal. And, of course, this is their final window to utilise. And, yeah, a very unfortunate evening, should I say, for Andrew Messaruni. He's had some good opportunities, but hasn't really been able to fire away, as we do see the ball delivered towards a back post, and Shalamanov Trenkov is able to claim.
Good hands there by the big man.
Well, it looks like they called for the substitution.
No one was ready on the sidelines, I think.
No one was ready. Well, that's quite peculiar.
Stay out there, Andrew. Here's Barfarosh. He started in midfield. Looks like he's playing as an auxiliary central defender or almost like an old-fashioned libero. That's something good to see, isn't it? A bit of nostalgia tonight at Lakeside Stadium. Hornsby. This is Gassim. South Melbourne comfortable sitting in their block, in the defensive shape behind the ball. Here's Leach. Good pressing by the young man Pope. Pressure on Hornsby. All the way back to Shalamanov Trenkov. Just over 25 minutes to go here, and Port Melbourne could put the cat amongst the pigeons if they could grab a goal in the next 5 minutes or so. That's for sure, but Pope's in possession here. The fresh legs of Jack Pope too, combining with Sawyer. Looking for Pios, who initially lined up down the right-hand side. He's shifted across to the left-hand side though, and Banana is now wide right. South Melbourne comfortable in possession now. Barcia receiving from Yankovic.
Interesting to note South Melbourne's defensive structure with very much a back three in possession, of course. That is sort of the mode of intention from them. And I like how Inglese can track inside as another makeshift centre half. It's very intriguing what South do have at their disposal. And of course, Inglese really playing the Ross Archibald role as well. It's a great touch from Sawyer. Look to find Pios on that right flank. It's got options waiting in the middle across the face of goal, and it's dealt with well by South Melbourne. And there is Inglese, the man we just talked about. Looked to fire it across of his own. It did hit the arm of Owen Stokes, and it'll be a South Melbourne set piece. But yeah, Inglese obviously stepped into that role in recent weeks and has done quite well, as we will see a double change from the Sharks, and now Messaruni will make his exit. And I think
there's not too many subs left on the bench for Nick Marinos, and we'll await the fourth official, Alex Nikolowski, to get the analogue number board up and see who's coming off. Messaruni is definitely one of them.
And it looks like to be, I think it's Fraser Dunlop that's making his way off the park.
I think they've just thrown the board in the bin there. It's just too much work trying to operate the digital board. So a double change. So the number 45 is on. So that's Jordan Pissack making his senior debut. So congratulations to Jordan.
Of course, George Putsioulis, who did make his senior debut last week against Green Gully, but does feature tonight as Pios looks to flick in a ball, and it's towards a back post. It's kept in play somehow, some way. Port Melbourne's defensive set-piece marking not quite on cue in that instance, and Marcia will look to play it down the line. It's kept in play briefly. Hornsby, now Method, looks to weave away. It does so initially. Miscommunication there as Pope with the 1-2 with Sawyer. Pope still going. Shifting out towards that left flank, it's Jack Pope! Oh. What a way to mark your occasion at Lakeside Stadium! Jack Pope with his debut goal, and a masterstroke from Esteban Quintas sees the young boy who's moved from Eastern to South Melbourne has chipped Salamanov Trenkov and has marked what will be a historic night at Lakeside Stadium.
Oh, what a goal by the young man, receiving the assist to go down to Harrison Sawyer. It looked like the angle he'd gone on was going to be too tight to fire a meaningful shot. Had a crack on the left and just managed to get it over the 195-centimetre Ilya Shalamanov Trenkov, but also under the crossbar as well. And that's one of the finest finishes that you'll see this weekend in NPL football anywhere in Australia. Congrats to Jack Pope, who's impressed over at Gardeners Creek Reserve, and he's impressing since arriving here. As we're saying, one of the rare matches where he's had to bide his time and come off the bench this evening, but he certainly made a statement to Esteban Quintas as well that I think he wants to be back in that starting 11 next week. Yeah, unfortunately for South Melbourne, he's cup tied, so he won't be able to feature against the Oakley Cannons in the cup. Neither will Robert Harding, of course, but look, if you can use him in the league, you absolutely should do so. And it's a really good rotational option as well to have, of course, South Melbourne with Josh Wallen having retired. Someone like Jack Pope can come in and be that diminutive midfielder that they do so require. I mean, Barcia is very tactically astute, likes to ping the passes here and there, and is a player that sort of has that sort of lackadaisical motion, should we say. But Jack Pope loves to get up and down the park, and he's done so brilliantly there to twirl onto his left. And I think I might have taken a deflection maybe, but regardless of the outcome, it still counts. So, South Melbourne with a well-deserved 3-0 lead. You mentioned the central midfield position for South as well. Ross Archibald still out after that concussion, and hopefully he's back in the team soon. But you mentioned those boys cup tied in the Doherty Cup coming up. But they might be able to line up against the Wellington Phoenix on the Tuesday night after that, I imagine. So that will be an enforced squad rotation, I suppose, for Esteban Quintas that week, where they do play the 3 games over the course of, well, it's 3 games over 8 days really, isn't it? But 3 really big games, 3 season-defining games.
Absolutely, a make or break. I mean, a league title would be special for South Melbourne, but a league double would be incredible for them. And, well, if they can secure a domestic treble, wouldn't that be something? See Owen Stokes now in possession. For the Sharks, of course, other results pending. This shouldn't be too much of a danger concern for them. It looks like Dandenong City, of course, facing off against Manningham United at halftime. It was 2-1 to the away side that were relegation threat, and that's, of course, the score that is retained into the 53rd minute in this second half. So now, over to you, Melbourne Knights, who have an opportunity to get themselves into the top 6, which honestly we wouldn't have thought would have been possible a few weeks ago. But Ivan Frangic, the first-time manager of Melbourne Knights, has done an incredible job as a player-coach.
Yeah, that's right. And if they can get a result against the Oakley Cannons tomorrow afternoon over at Jack Edwards, well, that would be a result worthy of them making quite a statement that they're able to beat the big boys and try and claim that spot in the top 6, particularly if Dandenong City stay trailing to Manningham United by the 2-1 score there. Tuntus and Castiello on the score sheet, and Iaconis pulling one back. Pios is trying to get involved in the attacking action here. It's repelled by that Port Melbourne defence again, but only as far as Painter Andrews, who gets it out of his feet and plays a nice ball, but it's picked off well again. Port Melbourne just having trouble getting a hold of the football once they win it back. Just giving possession straight back to South Melbourne time and time again. Bernarda's header. Lampard getting forward from left back. Trying to take on his man and goes a long way around about it, but he's out of possession here now, and Port Melbourne can try and build up through Stokes. It's out of play again on the far side. South Melbourne throw. As we said, Iaconis pulling one back for Dandenong City before the break, but yeah, a result that certainly goes against the form guide if you look at Dandenong City coming here and getting a win against the mighty South Melbourne side last Friday night. Manningham not really setting the world alight at the moment, in relegation danger.
Yeah, but I think a lot of optimism amongst those sides that are in and around the top 6. It will certainly create a very intriguing storyline come the final day, which is what we need. I mean, the relegation fight is more or less secure, you would say, for St Albans.
It'd be good to know how many teams are going down for one. But yeah, St Albans, definitely, Neil. St Albans are looking good to get themselves out of the mire. Is they're going to see a change here, and the big central defender Marko Jankovic is going to be heading off. Coming on. Again, the digital and analog boards have both been thrown in the bin here, but also we've got Mihajlo Marinkovic coming on.
Number 11, Rob Harding.
As well as Rob Harding. And Rob Harding, he's another player since coming across, similar to Jack Pope, who's mainly featured in the starting 11 most weeks. He went off with an injury niggle a couple of weeks ago against Green Gully, but he's made a recovery. I think he hurt his ankle that day.
Yeah, I mean, what a journey for him, Robert Harding. I mean, few would have really picked him as a South Melbourne mid-season signing. Of course, arriving from relegation threat in Manningham, has only had that one goal for the season, but is a player that can provide you a lot of pace going forward, and that's what the South Melbourne team need. A lot of bodies and players that can run up and down the flanks. And
versatility as well, I think, as well.
Yeah, and the Western Australian has really done well since he came across. Had quite a good stint at the Altona Magic, and I think has a lot to be proud about. And he's a serial winner himself. Did win the WA NPL in 2020. So if he's able to provide that winning touch to the South Melbourne side, that's what this side really needs. Of course, they haven't secured a championship in quite some time, but I'm sure the final series will be a very intriguing time for South Melbourne. Stokes looks to flick one in towards that right flank. Money at 4 for Hornsby, but there's a call for an offside. To just take you around the grounds as well, of course.
There's been a goal at Olympic Village, Neil. It's now 1-1.
Well, that is going to be an intriguing storyline to feast your eyes on, of course. First and second, more or less a foregone conclusion at this point in time. But I have to say, Hume City in third place at the moment. That battle with Hume, Heidelberg and Oakley will be tantalising viewing in the coming weeks, you'd have to say.
Yes, you can throw a blanket over all of those sides at the moment. The league table going blow for blow, and one of them gets the win, the other one gets the win, and then some of them drop points. They all seem to drop points at the same time as well. Melbourne trying to find a way to get possession of the football. Pope winning it back again. So versatile going forward and also in the defensive responsibilities as well. Sawyer again dropping deep to pick up the ball. Combining with Painter Andrews, who's got this raking switch of play going forward. Harding was the target in the orange boots. Harding still gives chase. Good pressing by the West Aussie. No whistle. That's us on all fours. It's going to be a goal kick. Port Melbourne just dwelt on the ball a little bit too long in their own penalty area there, and Robert Harding just about seized on the opportunity.
See South Melbourne's final change of the evening.
All been made in quick succession by Esteban Quintas.
Oh, you've got a big few games coming up. You have to rest bodies as much as you possibly can. And it looks like that change will be enacted right now. I think Mario Barcia is going to make his way off the park.
Substitution for South Melbourne coming off number 8, Mario Barcia, being replaced by number 15, Zach Spiteri.
Zach Spiteri, of course, returning to face his old side in the Port Melbourne Sharks, where he featured a few times last season. Did the youngster, of course, Spiteri, a very well-known last name amongst Green Gully circles, and
there's plenty of Spiteris in the NPL ranks at the moment. Just recently turned 20, did Zach. He got the starting team last week, but again, had to bide his time off the bench tonight.
Yeah, and Zach obviously did spend his time at Green Gully as a youngster from under 12s. He's now built his way into South Melbourne's first 11, of course, last week, and it was about 15 minutes or so to prove himself tonight. Here is Payos. Looking to shift away. Very tidy and technical player is Emil Payos as Painter Andrews looks towards a back post. No one quite arriving. Pios still there with the attempted volley en route. But on his non-preferred left. It whisks over the bar. And Dandenong City have equalised against Manningham, so that slightly opens the jar in 6th place. Opens a 2-point gap over the Port Melbourne Sharks.
Yes, you could say the door is ajar there. Oh, as Shalamanov Trenkov slips over, not for the first time tonight, and taking that goal kick. Sawyer. It's giving chase. Peter Andrews in possession. And the young man, Bootsoulis, also lost his footing. Interesting one, George Bootsoulis. He mentioned he debuted in the previous match. 11 goals in the under-23s across Dandenong City and Port Melbourne this season. In 23 matches. Not a bad return, so opportunity. Port Melbourne losing so many players from their senior ranks, but opportunities for young players to come in and try and show what they've got in their locker. Here's Jordan Pissack, another one of the substitutes. One of the substitutes is on debut.
Pissack, also a well-known name at this football club. Jaden Pissack, of course, was a star player for the 23s, 21 should I say, last season. So good to see the surname of that ilk get some exposure in the first team, as we do see Sawyer all alone in the attacking third. Got Pios to his right, Harding to his left. Sawyer going all alone as they look to break away Port Melbourne from this defensive position. And here is Pissack.
Good covering by Barfrosh there, getting back to be that extra man again when South were looking dangerous.
Yeah, Luke Barfrosh, a man of many positions, has played as a number 10, number 6 central defender tonight. And of course, well, the most obvious thing to mention is without Nathaniel Hancock and Maker, who are out with suspension, we also do have Alex Baker, who has officially departed the club to sign in Kyrgyzstan with FC Ayala, who finished 2nd in the Kyrgyzstani Premier League in 2023. So another move abroad for Alex Baker.
It's an exciting move for him, isn't it?
Yeah, exciting. That's his 6th club in just over 2 years. So looking to forge a career by any means necessary. You have to respect it, to be honest.
Fair play to the boy from Ballarat. Did his time in Iceland not that long ago, and he's bounced around so many clubs. Dandenong Thunder, Western United, Port Melbourne, of course, as well. Bentley Greens too. So he's been everywhere, man. I think he's nearly turning 23. So he's the boy from Ballarat. He has certainly been everywhere. But he won't be around for the Sharks anymore, which is the bad news. As they try and create something here. Atticus Gonzalez switching the play out wide to Matt Hett. It's repelled again by that South defence. Sawyer's first touch and draws the whistle of Jonas Isis. It's a good foul to win there for South because they were outnumbered in that position. Ball forward by Pios, finds Sawyer. Running at Pissack, throwing the step-overs. In fact, it's Gassim, should I say. Gonzalez plays the ball forward. Sunoski, who's been out there for the duration tonight for Port. This is Matet, Abraham Matet. You've been following his trajectory. He was at Geelong Soccer Club in the NPL3 back in 2021, that unfortunate season where we certainly didn't get a full season, but he's been playing a bit of State League football more recently, and he's come straight from what I understand, State League 3 up to the top tier of Victorian football. Fair play to the young man.
Yeah, he did play at the Heidelberg Stars in State League 3, I believe Northwest. And of course did have a stint at FC Strathmore last season. So I have to say, going up 5 or 6 tiers is certainly not
it's quite a
task for many in this state, but he certainly hasn't looked out of place. And last week, if you did see that late winner from Charlie Leach, he actually was involved in the build-up with a magical back heel. So we do see Hornsby whisking around on the edge of the area, but it's Owen Stokes who sends that over the bar, and he has really had a tall task this evening as the Irish Youth International himself, actually combining with his former Christchurch teammate. In fact, I'm not sure if they actually crossed paths, but they both have played for Christchurch in the past.
Potentially. We'll have to check our records on that one, but Stokes was with Christchurch last season, so if we are to assume that Hornsby was also there last season, they would have been club mates last year in New Zealand. Ball over the top for Matet. Pope getting on the ball. Teams just trading possession here at the moment. This is Jordan Pisak. Stokes. It's been a good season for him, despite the adversity they faced and the run of outs that they had. Port Melbourne getting that win last week against Green Gully. Their first win in 56 days since they had beaten the Melbourne Knights 2-0 at home back in May. That is quite the drought, but I saw on their socials they certainly sang the song, as you would imagine, with the appropriate amount of gusto when you haven't tasted victory for that long. This is Matet playing the ball into the near post area. He was looking for the substitute, Butsulis. He was well held, though, by that South defence, not allowing him any space to take a first touch inside the penalty area. Come again, raiding down the right-hand side. Butsulis was the target. Still alive. Gonzalez. 1-2, and he shovels that one goal bound, but it's off target.
Yeah, Atticus Gonzalez has looked fairly tidy since coming on, and ironically enough, actually got injured within, I believe, a minute after he came on for Charlie Leach. So it was very unfortunate for him, and he might be playing with a niggle now, but he's done very well nonetheless to compose himself, and has been a player that's obviously come through this Port Melbourne Sharks youth system. And we have to emphasise there are so many under-23s players on the pitch right now for the Sharks, and they've really had to dig deep. And kudos to Nick Marinos and his coaching staff, because it's not easy to dip your toes into the younger side of players in this competition. Of course, the NPL Victoria, really known as one of the more mature leagues across the country. And a club like Port Melbourne has really bucked that trend in recent seasons. I mean, they gave minutes to a 15-year-old Dylan Leonard last season, who was at now Western United, and a fully fledged Australian Youth International with the Young Socceroos. And, of course, Mark Leonard, who made his Western United debut in the Australia Cup. So a great moment for the Port Melbourne Sharks, and it's really demonstrative of what they want to do and what they seek to achieve in the top flight. Win games, but also win it by playing young and also having some experience as well, which you can never go wrong with, as we do see now. Rinkovic play it back towards Javi Lopez, and unfortunately he sends that right out of play.
Just on that as well, Neil, the Port Melbourne starting 11 tonight, their whole team, the whole starting 11 apart from 34-year-old Dane Milovanovic and 27-year-old Owen Stokes, could be playing in the under-23 comp this season. That's scary. Yeah,
it's a scary thought, especially in the NPL Victoria. You don't often see that amount of youth, and it's a welcome sign. And it's also great to mix it in with Dane Milovanovic, who's a rusted-on veteran of this competition, as we do see Stokes deliver it towards the back post. Well dealt with by Spiteri. Of course, we know some of these players very, very well, as he does send a beautiful ball towards Harrison Sawyer, who's isolated with Yazip. It's Harry Sawyer, a couple of step-overs. Harrison Sawyer, a great save from Shalamanov Trenkov, and it's bundled home by Robert Harding. The two mid-season signings get their first goals at Lakeside Stadium, and what a way to do so for the Western Australian Harding, who comes on and gets a goal, and Harry Sawyer, more or less the architect. South Melbourne with a 4-0 rout of the Sharkies.
It's the subs making the impact, isn't it, Neil? Harrison Sawyer, I mean, one of the players from the starting 11, making it all happen, but in the right place at the right time. Robert Harding read the play exceptionally well. He knew where the ball was going to be, and that is the kind of trait that Robert Harding brings. As you mentioned, a lot of eyebrows were raised when he was signed by South Melbourne from Manning United Blues, but he's worked out to be an excellent acquisition for Esteban Quintas' side. So versatile in the attacking positions. Started most of the games since arriving at Lakeside, coming off the bench tonight in the same way that we saw Jack Pote, and coming on and scoring as well. His first goal in the blue of South Melbourne will certainly make his weekend. Not bad when you can play Friday night football, get the 3 points and get your first goal in your new team's colours as well. Here is Jordan Pissac trying his luck from distance. It's through a sea of bodies and all the way through to Harvey Lopez. So 4-0 now. It's turning into a bit of a rout, and Port Melbourne, they'd held pretty strong in the first 45, keeping South down to the solitary goal. Here's Gonzalez on the interception, combining with Hornsby. Here's Stokes trying his luck from distance with a dipper, and it's just past the far post. Harvey Lopez wasn't taking any chances. He was at full stretch there, and it just went past the post. So Port Melbourne limited to some attempts from long range.
Yeah, I think Owen Stokes is a shining beacon of light in this Port Melbourne midfield. And I really do feel for him, because he hasn't got plenty of service upfield. When you are down 4-0, it's very hard to sort of find passages forward, and the game sort of has reached a tempo that will likely remain the same for the majority of this contest, as Thierry looks to send the ball into the mixer, and Salamadov Trenkov, I think, slips for the third time. And it's very, I think, maybe heavy, dewy, the pitch.
The dew is playing its role here.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's also on Owen Stokes, the point you make as well, Neil, like Charlie Leach being subbed out during the first half as well. Those two have been such a great little duo in midfield this season for the Sharks. And when they've lost Leach, it's made things a lot more difficult as well for Stokes, who's a bit of a one-man band in there, as we see Zach Spiteri trying to get on the ball on the far side. Defending from the Port Melbourne side again, and it's out of play, and they win the throw this time. Latsis to take over there in the long sleeves.
And we'll see the Sharks deliver here. This time Yazid, the searching ball forward. Port looking to build up from the back. This time is Hornsby. He's waiting on that left-hand flank, but it's now with Pissac.
Well played.
He's really grown into this game, Pissac. It's not easy to come into senior football and play against behemoths like Harrison Sawyer. And we do see Port Melbourne looking to build up through Latsis. Now Bechvinovsky, who's been a tidy player for the Sharks this season, is of course the son of the great Sash Bechvinovsky, and I think is destined for great things in the future. That's to be very sure, and I wouldn't be surprised if he attracts plenty of suitors come the off-season. Harding with the flick on towards Sawyer. That is something beautiful from Harrison Sawyer.
Fancy footwork from the big man, the pirouette.
I think technically
he
is.
Well, that's not bad from Lampard as well, if you don't mind trying to
South
keep
Melbourne
up with
putting
his
on the
teammates.
tricks.
As the 90 minutes are up on the clock here, South Melbourne are turning on the style for the fans that are gathered. The modest, albeit passionate crowd gathered under the grandstand on the far side, trying to keep warm. You can see they're rugged up like they're at the snow here in Mount Hotham.
The official has indicated that there will be 2 minutes of additional time.
There you go. It's only 2 minutes added on. That's one of the shorter stoppage, second half stoppage time amount allocations I've heard for some time.
Well, I think many of these players just want to get home and have a nice warm shower, I'm sure. Especially the Port Melbourne players. It's not been an evening to savour for them, but of course I guess they can live comfortably with the fact that it looks like Dandenong City might be dropping points against Manningham, but of course that's still currently at 2-2, so things could change very quickly. And Hume City, of course, equalising against Heidelberg United through Fletcher McFarlane. I believe that's his first goal for the season, and actually did score at Lakeside last year as well for Port Melbourne against South Melbourne. So
another former Shark doing his thing at a rival club in NPL Victoria.
Yeah, which is
did score in that 5-2 loss that the Sharks faced here in 2023. It's been a little while since Port's last win over South Melbourne, a 2-1 win in July 2022, so a couple of years ago, and that's not going to change this evening.
Yeah, and that was actually the season where Port Melbourne finished second in the league. Only South Melbourne were ahead of them that season. Of course, that game was quite intriguing. Fantastic atmosphere at JL Murphy that afternoon. And I think that was the game that was held on the weekend, with Port Melbourne securing a win against Avondale midweek.
Full-time here at Lakeside.
That's all we got time for, Neil. South Melbourne, they're almost there. And if Avondale happen to slip up tomorrow, they will be crowned premiers, South Melbourne, this year. I wonder if the players will be gathering to watch the game on the live stream somewhere at someone's house with just the Esky in the corner, or maybe Esteban's Esky that he sits on in the corner of the room ready to celebrate.
Leicester City-esque, but yeah, fantastic professional performance from South Melbourne. Did it. I think that second half was very intriguing to witness. South Melbourne playing free-flowing football is not a sign that you were really used to in the form of taking space in possession. A lot of balls are launched over the top. Zach Spiteri with that fantastic ball towards Harrison Sawyer was a sight to behold, and that second half was provided a lot of joy for the home side. And as for Port Melbourne, well, I guess their fate is in other sides' hands. The next 2 weeks proving crucial for their fight for 6th spot on the table as South Melbourne begin a 2-game stretch which will define their campaign.
And if we could just go back out to Frank Holohan as well, Neil, Dandenong City have been reduced to 10 men, so that might be a handy thing for Port Melbourne as well, if Manningham might be able to use that as a chance to get their noses ahead in the last 14 minutes of that one. That one still looked at 2-2, and the one at Heidelberg and Hume City as well. At Olympic Village still looked at 1-1. So 4 individual goal scorers tonight for South Melbourne. That'll impress Esteban Quintas as well. Harrison Sawyer on 6 minutes, getting the ball rolling. Just the 1 goal cushion at halftime. And in the second half, it was a flurry. Marko Jankovic from an Andy Brennan corner on 50 minutes. Jack Pope coming on and scoring on 68, and Robert Harding after Harrison Sawyer had made an enterprising run into the box. Harding on the end of the rebound, both Pope and Harding getting their first goals in the blue of South Melbourne. They will be happy tonight. And, well, the Port Melbourne side, really good to see some good youngsters. So many players under 23 getting minutes and debuts for the likes of Jordan Pissack as well tonight, as we saw their first appearance for Michael Hornsby on debut as well. So there's plenty to talk about as they huddle up on the pitch there, Neil, to have a post-game debrief with Nick Marinos.
Yeah, regardless win or loss, I'm sure Marinos will be very much intrigued to see how his side can respond from this result. A big few games for them. Avondale on the final day will not be an easy task, and both sides will be eager to win as well on that final day.
Yeah, and they will, of course, meet Dandenong City down at Frank Holohan next week as well, which I failed to mention, which is a key detail. So if perhaps, they can somehow...
that game could decide 6th spot, and I think that's going to be one of the... You've got relegation 6-pointers, you've got championship clinchers, but... Well,
they'll certainly be barracking for Oakley Cannons against the Melbourne Knights in that match tomorrow, that one at 3 o'clock. Plenty of big games coming up this weekend as well. Green Gully and Avondale. Avondale, they need to win that game, or the Premier's Plate will go to South Melbourne, as we mentioned. That's at 1 o'clock, your lunchtime kickoff tomorrow. Oakley Cannons and the Knights at 3. 6:15 is the Altona Magic and Moreland City. Moreland City, is it all over for them? It may well be. And then Sunday... Churchill Reserve, that's been the place to be on Sunday afternoons recently, with the Lee Broxham inspired, Joey Monek perhaps inspired as well. St Albans looking to get 3 points against Dandenong Thunder, Neil.
Yeah, and I guess we haven't even mentioned this at all, but South Melbourne with a potential opportunity to clinch the title against Avondale, at Avondale, if, of course, Avondale managed to beat Green Gully. So that will be... Oh, that would be something interesting.
Yeah. Can't wait for that one next Saturday, if that is to be the case, if that's a live fixture for the Premier's Plate next Saturday at Avenger Park, next Saturday at 3 p.m. That should be a beauty. Well, it must be time to sign off, Neil, so thank you for your company tonight, everyone at home. It's been a cool evening here at Lakeside, but South Melbourne are all smiles as they leave, and they're almost there to the Premier's Plate with a 4-0 win. South Melbourne 4, Port Melbourne 0. Neil, thanks very much for your company tonight on the live stream as we look forward to a great weekend of football. Until next time on the NPL Victoria live stream, good evening.